Yo, what's up, guys? A little bit of a different video here today. Trying something new. I'm going to take you guys along with me on a little project, really small project I'm working on right now. And it goes along with my recent previous videos about the final frontier and really figuring out what I want in life and what my goals are, what my values are, because I feel like at this point I have these skills to be able to get the things I truly want. If I truly want something, I believe I'm now capable of being able to attain that thing through all the previous work I've been conducting and experiments and everything I've learned in the past couple years that I've had alone with the money and time freedom to be able to dive deep into these meta skills and things of that nature. More videos to come on those topics, but for now, I'm working on what I think is an extremely high ROI activity, meaning the potential return, the amount you gain from this use of time relative to how much time you put in, how much effort you put in, is extremely high. Well, I can try to make that a little bit more clear. When you go to work and you're working a job and you're getting paid $15 an hour, you can basically say you're putting an hour of work in and getting $15 in return, right? That's the ROI on your time, looking at time as an investment. And, if you have a higher paying job, you're going to get a higher ROI on your time. If you're building a business or working on building an asset, not only are you getting paid directly for your time, but you're also building an asset which has value. So you actually have a higher ROI on your time than just purely the amount you get directly from putting in work. So typically building a business, building assets, or acquiring assets, those have higher ROIs than working a job and trading your time for money. But this is deep down in the rabbit hole of optimization and how to get the highest ROI for your time. How do you make not $15 an hour, not $150 an hour, not 500, not 1,000, not even 10,000? How do you make the absolute most amount of value, not always directly in quantifiable dollars, but how do you get the most value for your time? Because money is simply a quantifiable metric of value. You can trade, it's a means of exchanging value, right? So how do you get the highest ROI value? Right, we talked about working, we talked about building an asset, building a business, but then there's more of these meta ways of using your time that don't directly instantly result in returns in quantifiable value, aka money, but the amount of value you can gain is I think significantly higher, unquantifiable almost. So I stumbled upon these things like meta skills and how, spending time learning about sleep and exercise and diet, how that can have a drastic high ROI over your lifetime. Things like the meta skill of learning how to learn, that's an extremely high value ROI use of your time. There's things like mindset, there's things of mental models, learning in general. These things have very high ROI, returns on investment, the amount of time you put in compared to how much value you receive. So all of that to say, what I'm working on currently is what I think maybe, it's up there. It might be the highest as far as I know right now. That constantly changes, but either way, I've been doing a little bit of brainstorming here, just spent a few minutes just working through the thoughts. And so basically what I'm working on here is figuring out more about personality, values, strengths, and goals, and how these are all related. Because, like I said, I'm trying to figure out what do I value, what do I actually want, because I feel like I can now get what I want when I know what I want. So how do I figure out what I want? Right? That's part of this experiment. This is part of this use of time to get a high ROI, but really, what is personality? What is values? What are your strengths? What are goals? How do they relate? So I just brainstormed a little bit, try to get my thoughts down on paper, flesh out this idea more so I can keep moving forward. So essentially, I think personality is essentially your identity. So, well, first, it's how you see the world, right? It's your worldview as well as your identity. So how do you fit into that worldview? How do you fit into this worldview of yours? And from your personality, you also deeply tied into that as your purpose. And I wrote down evolutionary strategy because, there's these assessments that place people into, like the Myers-Briggs puts people into basically 16 categories of different people, and they all kind of have different strategies in life. And I think there's a deep genetic influence, deep biological influence on personality, but there's also the culture you were raised in, your upbringing, significant events, traumatic events fall into that, as well as your personal experience. So that kind of is your personality. So once you have a better understanding of your personality, who you are, you'll be able to more easily derive what you value. And you'll also be able to more easily derive what your strengths are. So what are these values and strengths? Well, I'm thinking values, right, are just exactly what it sounds like. Not much explanation there. What you value. Everybody values different things. There's universal things people value, but there's also cultural and independent personal things we value. So what's valuable to you? And you'll be able to figure that out once you have a better understanding of your personality. And I'm a believer that your goals should be derived from your values. So you really shouldn't be setting goals until you understand what you value, because you can easily just say, I want this, I want that, I value this, or I want to do this, I want that, I want to achieve this. But if you don't know what you really value, it's not real. You can say things, you can think things, you can feel things that aren't actually what you really want. You can say you want a nice car, you can say you want this or that, but maybe you don't want the nice car at all. Maybe you do. Maybe you want the car for some ulterior or alternative reason besides just the physical car itself. So I think once you understand your values, which come from understanding your personality, then you should set goals, and they should follow some type of system of goal setting. They should be, I don't know much about the SMART system of setting goals, but I think there's a lot of truth in setting concrete, measurable, achievable, timely goals. But anyway, finally, how does strengths fit into this whole big picture? I think strengths you'll be able to understand once you understand your personality, and you use your strengths to achieve your goals. That's what I think you should do. I think that's the way you do it, right? So essentially, we've got personality, we've got values, we've got strengths, and we've got goals. From your personality, you'll be able to understand your values and see your values, and you'll be able to understand and see your strengths. Once you understand your personality and therefore your values and your strengths, then you set goals, what you want to have, what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and you use your strengths to get the goals. So what next? Now that I've got this big picture right? We shouldn't set goals yet. First, we should understand ourselves. How do we understand more about our personality? Now, I'll probably make another video about my newer, more recent mental model of rapid iteration, rapid experimentation, minimum viable products, and rapid iteration really sums it up, but not spending so much time or too much time or a lot of time on anything, really, any of these things, but getting to the core as quickly as possible, deriving as much value from the question or from the whatever you're trying to do, getting it all, extracting the highest ROI out of that, and removing yourself when diminishing returns kick in. So essentially, if you want to learn something about personality, I'll just use this example, right? Since we know that values and strengths are a part of the personality, we want to learn about personality, because we can't set goals, we can't achieve our goals until we understand who we are, how we see the world, what our identity is, what our strengths and values are. So how do we learn more about personality, right? I just 30 seconds, 1 minute, jotted down what I think ways of understanding my personality better are. Quickly, I wrote down assessments. So these tests, these Myers-Briggs and Core Value Index and Enneagram and these psychology tests, taking a bunch of those assessments, reflecting on the results. I think that's very, very beneficial. I also wrote down journaling, reflection, therapy. So these forms of thinking about who I am, my personality, my values, my strengths, my worldview, my identity. Now I just thought we can probably add prompted journaling, prompted reflection, prompted therapy, because just free journaling can help. But if we really want to get to the core of who we are, let's use prompted questions for reflecting on questions, journaling on questions, talking about questions like, who am I? How do I see the world? Why do I think this way? What is my identity? What is my purpose? Right? Stuff's all along those lines. So journaling, reflection, therapy with an asterisk, prompted. And then the fifth thing I wrote down is experience. So just natural things that happen in our life, new things, friendships, making friends, losing friends, traveling, dating, romantic relationships. That really helps us see what other people are like and see like, oh, I'm definitely not like that. I definitely don't value that. Oh, I am kind of like this guy in this way. I'm not like this guy in this way. Things along that line, right? So where do we go from here? Now I'm going to be using my new model of rapid iteration to first address the question, how do we learn more about personality? I already done most of the work by just writing down what I had already in my head, what came to my mind. Next, I'm going to maybe Google, probably not. I'll just jump on ChatGPT, type in that question, see what it spits out, and go from there. And from there, I'll be able to better judge what the best use of time to better understand my personality is next. So I'm going to go do that now, and I'll pick the camera back up once I have. Yo, what's up, guys? I'm back. It's about 20 minutes later. I just developed this idea quite a lot further. I know that might sound a little crazy that it only took 20 minutes to develop this idea a lot further, but with the power of AI, as well as clear thinking and meta skill development, that's what's possible. And let's jump into it. So I guess I kind of was able to encapsulate this whole idea I was working on as self-awareness. I wasn't even aware that this was, this is kind of just self-awareness, personality, strengths, values, goals. This is self-awareness. So I was able to encapsulate the whole idea into one topic. and I learned a lot from AI. So let me just walk you through. I'm sure I'll make some videos probably in the future about how I use ChatGPT as a tool for thinking, and to help me think and learn. But essentially, this is how I prompted ChatGPT. I want to learn more about my personality because I think that I will better understand my values and strengths by learning about my personality. I think that once I am able to better understand my personality and therefore values, strengths, I will be able to set goals in line with my values and use my strengths to achieve those goals. What do you think? So my first prompt was really just kind of encapsulating what I just talked about in the previous clip, about how value stems from personality, is an aspect of personality, how we should derive our goals from our values and use our strengths to achieve those goals. ChatGPT responds with, "That sounds like a very insightful approach. Understanding your personality can indeed provide valuable insights into your values, strengths, and preferences. This self-awareness can help you align your goals with what truly matters to you and leverage your strengths effectively. Here are a few steps you can take to explore and understand your personality better." So from that first paragraph, I was able to encapsulate it. That's where I got the idea of self-awareness. I also added, in this bigger picture personality, value, strengths, goals, I added preferences, which is another aspect of personality that I didn't really include before. Now ChatGPT helped me to add that to the developing idea. So it just straight off gives me a bunch of big bullets on what I can do to increase my self-awareness and learn more about my personality. As you can see, take personality assessments. That was the first thing I wrote down as well. Reflection, reflect on past experiences. Within here were some good prompts that I wrote down. So reflection prompts. When did I feel most fulfilled and successful? What was I doing? What strengths was I using? This is a great reflection prompt that I'll use at some point. When did I feel dissatisfied or out of alignment? What values were being compromised? What strengths were not being utilized, right? And this is another great prompt that I'll use at some point. The third bullet point was seek feedback. So this is a great idea that I didn't even have originally in my ideas. So I forgot to write that down. So seek feedback from others. Seek feedback from others. Right? So what does that actually mean? So ask trusted friends, family members, or colleagues for their perspective on your strengths and values, right? And I can develop that further later. Sometimes others can see patterns and qualities in us that we might overlook. So that's another idea for becoming more self-aware. Explore your interests and passions. So this is another prompt that I ended up writing down. What ideas excite me? What activities excite me? The fifth is engage in self-discovery activities, journaling and meditation. I didn't include meditation in my original ideas, but upon further review, it definitely is a great way of becoming more aware, because you're able to sit there with your thoughts and see what thoughts pop up, and you'll be able to see patterns, become more self-aware of your feelings and thoughts and identity that way. Final one that ChatGPT gave for becoming more self-aware: set goals aligned with your values. And that was essentially the original idea to begin with. So that was the first prompt I gave. So then I said, okay, what are some other assessments I can take, or are there others even worth taking, right? So ChatGPT originally gave me the MBTI, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, Big 5 personality traits, and Strengths Finder. So I said more. It says Enneagram, 16 personalities, and it gave me a big list of 12 more personality assessments that I wrote down. Plan to take a lot of these, if not all of them, to better understand myself. And then here's a little bit of, I wouldn't call it social proof, but a little bit of validation or verification that this idea that I'm working with, that self-awareness, which I now call it, self-awareness is probably the highest, if not one of the highest, uses of time for return on investment of time. You're going to derive the most value from self-awareness, unless you're already highly self-aware, which I'm not, and I'm sure most people aren't. So I said, could spending time on self-awareness activities be one of the highest ROI uses of time? Right? ChatGPT says yes. Spending time on self-awareness activities can indeed be one of the highest ROI return on investment uses of time. Here's why. So it gives me a list: enhanced decision-making, improved relationships, increased productivity and efficiency, better goal setting, personal growth and development, stress reduction, career advancement, authentic living, conflict resolution, greater resilience, and all the descriptions on how those fit in, and to maximize ROI self-awareness activities. And it gives me basically the list that we've already worked out, in addition to professional coaching, which I did have in therapy, but I went ahead and add coach or counselor as well in that professional coaching. Great. Next I put, could it potentially be the highest ROI use of time, at least for those who aren't very self-aware? So at this point I'm saying, okay, yes, obviously it's a very high potential ROI activity, but could it be the highest? ChatGPT responds with, absolutely. For individuals who aren't very self-aware, investing time in self-awareness activities can potentially be the highest ROI use of time. Here are several reasons why this is likely. So it's the foundation for all personal development, improved decision-making, and a lot of these we've already gone through, but you can take a look at them if you'd like. There's even more that we didn't discuss already. Effective goal setting and achievement, increased productive focus, resilience and adaptability, reduction in stress and anxiety, better career choices, long-term personal satisfaction. Gives us basically what it's already said. Great. So we now can say that this is a great use of time. I've developed this idea further. We know what the next steps are. What else did I prompt? Essentially, I just kind of prompted it with other high ROI uses of time to then verify at the end again. So basically I said, is investing time in meta skills such as learning how to learn and topics such as health and mindset also considered insanely high ROI activities? It says yes, explains why. All three of those are all very high ROI uses of time. I then say, what are other activities that are in this caliber of ROI on use of time? This gives me some interesting ideas to work with in the future: networking and relationship building, financial education and management, skill development, technical and soft skills, time management and productivity, creativity and innovation, lifelong learning, we've already addressed, physical and mental wellness, we've already kind of addressed, contribution and impact, volunteering, mentorship, strategic rest and recovery, quality sleep, mindful breaks. All interesting stuff. So then I say, but self-awareness may be the highest. Yes, self-awareness can be considered one of the highest ROI uses of time, especially for those who are not already highly self-aware. Here's why. Foundational nature, right? We've already talked a lot about all these benefits and what comes from increased self-awareness, but they just keep adding more and more. Emotional intelligence, personal growth, leveraging strengths. A lot of these have already been addressed, but as we can see, career advancement, professional success, leadership, personal fulfillment, greater happiness, like these are all insanely high, valuable things that can be gained through increased self-awareness. So then I say, so self-awareness should be addressed before most of the other things. Yes, addressing self-awareness before many other pursuits can be highly beneficial. Here's why. Starting with self-awareness can enhance effectiveness of your efforts, right? Enhance clarity and focus, better decision-making, improve relationships, personal and professional growth, resilience and well-being, right? And then he gives us the steps again. All right. So in that 20-minute session and now 10-minute of reflecting on camera, we've derived that self-awareness is one of the highest uses or highest return on investment uses of time, meaning the amount of value you extract from your time spent is potentially the highest when used on self-awareness and becoming more self-aware and understanding yourself and personality better, right? And we've also addressed that it is potentially the best thing to begin with on a self-improvement journey, or just trying to do anything in life, really. Get anything you want, become happier. Really, I think it's where everyone should start and spend a significant amount of effort and time and in the beginning, unless you're already highly self-aware, right? And we also got, develop this idea further. We've got practical steps. What are the next steps then? So the next steps I'm going to employ are taking some of these assessments and reflecting on these prompts, and potentially seeking feedback from trusted friends and family on my strengths and values. So that's that. I know I was talking about rapid iteration, and this video is already getting now nearly 30 minutes, but that is pretty rapid in the grand scheme of things. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to take one of these assessments tonight, because it's already getting a little bit later. Take one of these assessments and pick up the camera when I'm done, reflect on it a little bit, throw these videos together into one video and post it, and we'll call that a day. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit. All right, guys, probably the final clip here for the night. I went ahead and started by asking ChatGPT, what is a great personality test to begin with, to get a good overview of personality. ChatGPT says big 5 personality traits, which is great because I've actually never taken that personality test before. So I wanted to start with one that I haven't taken before. And it gave me a list of a few of them that I could take. I went ahead and just took this free one from Open Psychometrics. Of course, since it was free, it wasn't that... Sorry, I just got distracted by what I was looking into the big personality test. Anyway, since it was free, it didn't give it that comprehensive of a description. It gave a little bit though, but anyway, here's my scores. Extroversion was 90 in the percentile, so very high extroversion. Emotional stability, 75, still, upper middle, as well as agreeableness right around there as well, 71. Conscientiousness a little bit higher at 84, and intellect and imagination at 88. So I went ahead and read these descriptions for each. These go by different names in other tests. This emotional stability one is also referred to in the opposite way as neuroticism. So I would have essentially like a 25 in neuroticism, not very high. I'm happy with that. Agreeableness overall is my lowest score, but still high in the population. Conscientiousness and intellect/imagination is also referred to as openness to experience. Anyway, this big 5 was a pretty interesting one. Definitely gave me some insights, some things to think about. I'll probably take it on another different website, because the big 5 is considered extremely academically rigorous, and it is like one of the most reputable personality assessments in academic psychology. Anyway, so I'll see if those scores are similar, or if not the same, on another personality assessment of the big 5 to validate and verify the results. Either way, I went ahead and screenshotted it, so if I take it again in the future, I'll be able to compare if they change. Some things I got from this one, I was just jotting down some ideas, some insights on how, for example, how extroverted I am. I'm extremely extroverted, and yeah, it's hard because I'm also extremely focused on optimization and highly conscientious and highly focused on intelligence, creativity, imagination. So I've got these like almost somewhat opposing forces because I view, who you spend time around and such as massively influencing who you are, right? And these social events, especially as a teenager, are not typically healthy events for your health, or, as a 21-year-old, staying out late, drinking, smoking, whatever. Things of that nature typically aren't that healthy, but I've also been highly conscientious and focused on health. So I've had almost this opposing force where I'm like, all right, the ideal optimization of uses of time and health are typically isolating activities. At least they have been, as I've thought in the past. But I highly value extroversion. When I think about when did I feel most fulfilled and successful, it was definitely a lot of the times they were around achievements, but also it was when I was thriving in a social community, whether that be school or sports or whatever it might be. So finding a balance of being very extroverted, spending a lot of time with people, while also being able to maintain, productivity and health. That's the balance I'm working on. I definitely don't want to choose a career that is extremely isolating. So maybe if I continue pursuing YouTube, I'll want to make them collaborative videos, or maybe look into podcasts. Podcasting could be a big one. But it's a balance. I like, as of now, making these videos on my own and seeing where that's going. Yeah. I've also got this weird thing with impulsivity that, I'm highly conscientious, pretty high percentile, 84th, which is correlated with low conscientious or low impulsivity, but I'm also got an even higher score in what is often referred to as openness to experience, and high openness to experience can be lead to overly impulsive, or having difficulty with routine tasks. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. There's a lot of paradoxes and contradictions, it seems like, in my own life, and I'm sure in most people's lives, but I've been able to, for periods of months on end, stick to extremely rigid routines. Extremely. And there's other periods of my life where I'm like, as in now, where I'm like, I don't want rigidity. I don't want to force myself into a box. I want to be free with my time. I want to be open. And if you know much about the Myers-Briggs, more of a P, perceiving type, than a J, judging. Yeah, so interesting results here on this first Big Five. Tomorrow I'll see what I'll end up doing, but maybe take another Big Five and compare the results, cross-reference, maybe take another personality assessment, maybe journal a little bit and reflect on these results or the results tomorrow, but we'll see. Anyway, new video format here. If you've made it this far, please like, subscribe, comment below what your thoughts are. That'd be awesome. There's probably like 2 people this far, so thank you for watching. You guys really motivate me to continue pursuing this YouTube thing, and that's all for today. Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon.